All right, Shalom, Yasharala. Before we get started, we gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. And double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. All right, we're back with another video, another lesson. Title this one is called America and Rome Have a Lot in Common. All right, and I may change that around, but this is gonna be a lesson going into how America, is has some similarities with the ancient Roman Empire. All right, because we're really living in the Roman Empire all over again, but just a lot different. When you just got technology out of this world. All right, that the ancient Roman Empire didn't have, but looking back, looking at how America is set up and how ancient Roman was set up, there's a lot of similarities between them. The architecture. Look back on the dollar bill. We're gonna get into that. I got a video on it. How just everything is sets up, and the Constitution, the government. All right, everything down pat. And I got a few scriptures we're gonna read. I don't want to make this too long of a lesson. All right, just want to bring out some edification. So going over here, Lord willing is edifying to you brothers and you sisters. All right, so I looked up, what does it say? In the Roman system in America, I just typed something in, and it says, the Roman system influenced many aspects of the United States, including the Constitution, government architecture, and the idea of republic impulses against corruption, which, this whole society is corrupted, But continuing on, this is the Constitution. The founding fathers drew inspiration from the Roman Republic for many features of the Constitution, including the separation of powers, checks and balances, by it says bicameral legislator, term limits, and age requirements. Some words like Senate, Capitol, and committee were copied directly from the Roman Constitution. It says government architecture. The architecture of government buildings, such as the U.S. Capitol, the Supreme Court building, and the Jefferson Memorial, is influenced by Roman architecture. The Jefferson Memorial is modeled at the Roman Pantheon. See, Washington, D.C., right? Oh, before D.C. was even called that, it was called Rome, Maryland. Matter of fact, I can pull something up real quick on that. All right, Rome, Maryland. Just something real quick. All right, I read that. I was go to this again. Slovakia, excuse me. It says this came out February 11th, 2014. Washington was originally named Rome, Maryland. And it says in the 17th century, a vast estate of 400 acres existed southeast of what is now Georgetown in Maryland. Owned by an Italian culture enthusiast, this land was ambitiously named Rome. The owner's passion for Italy didn't just influence the name, it shaped his vision for the New World, which was America. This estate was more than land. It was a symbol of aspiration and connection to ancient civilizations. Transitioning from European inspiration to American reality, the landowner renamed Goose Creek to Tiber Creek. This act mirrored this act mirrored Rome's iconic river, Tiber. It says creating a symbolic link across continents. His vision was to merge the grandeur of ancient Rome with the building potential of America. And they go into the Francis Pope over in Italy. Is Pope Francis. All right. So you can read on that. I'll put the link in the description. But this was DC before it was called that was called Rome, Maryland. See, so it's a lot of a lot of similarities between America and Rome. So going back, all right, it says Republican impulses. The founding fathers were inspired by the Roman Republic symbolism in everyday life, government, philosophy, military strategies, and religious tolerance. You know, and it's the let's go to Daniel. Let's get that first one. Let's get that Daniel 7:7. Since it brought up military. Um, yeah, Daniel 7:7. Matter of fact, Salakia. Yeah, 7. It says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast. With this now, this fourth beast is talking about Rome, actual Rome. All right, this is the fourth beast that Daniel saw, and it says, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. You see that? And those 10 horns were the 10 vassal states they had under it. I forgot their names, but I know it's like the Visigoths, um, the I can't remember all of them, but those were the 10 horns at that time. The 10 vassal states. Now the 10 horns, is America, the EU, right? So this is the fourth beast in Daniel 7, and that strong. Their army was very, very strong. You know, they had a very strong army, man. Right? Let's get First Maccabees 8. Whoops. This is First Maccabees chapter 8. I'm gonna read a couple of verses. Then I'm gonna drop down to the point. It says, "Now Judas had heard of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them. And they that were, it says, and that they were men of great valor. It was told him also of their wars and notable acts which they had done among the Galatians, and how they had conquered them and brought them under tribute, and what they had done in the country of Spain for the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which was there, and that by their policy and patience they had conquered all the place, though it were very far from them, and the kings also that came against them from the uttermost part of the earth, till they had discomfited them, and given them a great overthrow, so that the rest did give them tribute every year. Beside this, how they had discomfited in Philip in battle Philip and Perseus, king of Sittims, with others that lifted up themselves against them, and had overcome them. How also Antiochus, the great king of Asia, that came against them in battle, having 120 elephants with horsemen and chariots, and a very great army, was discomfited by them. And how they took him alive, and covenanted. I'm saying that all wrong. Forgive me. It said, I'll read it again. And how they took him alive, and covenanted. I'm gonna just say that. I'm a Salaki for pronouncing that wrong. That he, matter of fact, let's look it up. I ain't ready. I'm gonna get it right. I'm that type of person. Is it covenanted? That's probably what it says. Not covenanted.
Covenant.
Well, it says covenant, but
Covenanted.
Covenanted. Okay. So First Maccabees 8 and 7, and how they took him alive and covenanted that he and such as reigned after him should pay a great tribute and give hostages, and that which was agreed upon, and the country of India and Media and Lydia, and of the goodliest countries which they took of him, and gave to King Eumenes. So this is talking about the Roman the Romans, man. This is in First Maccabees. All right, this is the part of the Greek Empire. But I'm gonna jump down to the point. All right. I'm gonna start at verse 12. It says, "But with their friends and such as relied upon them, they kept amity, and that they had conquered kingdoms both far and nigh, insomuch as all that heard of their name were afraid of them." See, it says also that whom they would help to a kingdom, those reign, and whom again they displace. Finally, that they were greatly exalted. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple, to be magnified thereby. Moreover, I went too far. It says, moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year. What does that sound like? It sounds like America today, no, but not just 1 year. That the president serves 4 years. Then you have an election, right? It says, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them. You see? So going back, they had a great army, which we just read about, who was, conquering. And they also had, a Senate house. Like today, they got the Senate, they got the government set up, right? And they got the president, which that would be something like how they were back then, So let's go over here. All right. So we read that. Let's go back to Daniel 7. Right. Let's jump to verse 8. And it says, "I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn." Who is this little horn? All right. This little horn, they say that's Antiochus, but that's in Daniel, the 8th chapter. Daniel, the 7th chapter, verse 8 is talking about America. All right. It says, "I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things." And that's how it is today. Let's get that Revelation 13. All right. Revelation 13 and 11. I'll start at verse 1. I'm going to read verse 1 and 2. It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns." Now, those 7 heads are what? The Greeks. All right. The Greeks, the Romans. I'm not getting this in no type of order, but the Greeks, the Romans, I want to say the Spanish, the French, Germana Major, Germana Minor. I could be getting that wrong. And then the British. Then we know the British. Out of the British came America. All right, 13 colonies and so on and so forth. So it says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard." That's the Greeks. All right. "And his feet were like Salakia, and his feet were as the feet of a bear." And this bear represents the modern. This bear represents the Russia. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. You see that? So this is where they get their authority from that dragon, from the Roman Empire. You see that? That's who they gave him that authority, that great power. So jumping down, Revelation 13 and 11, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." You see? Let's talk about America. All right, this is that beast coming up out of the earth, that horn back in Daniel 7 and verse 8. You see, that 2 horns like a lamb is the 2 political party systems. All right, which goes back to, let me get it over here. It says the plebeians and patricians, right? It says in ancient Rome, the main difference between plebeians and patricians was their social class and political power. The patricians, the upper class of Roman society, made up of wealthy landowners and families who served in the Senate, patricians controlled the government and had the most power in Rome. The plebeians, the lower class of Roman society, made up of laborers and farmers who mostly worked land owned by the patricians. Plebeians were generally poor and had no power in government, but eventually they started to get power. Um, Let me read this right here. Uh, I'll read this. Matter of fact, we can read not the whole thing, but you know, it says I'll start right here. Roman citizens were divided up into two distinct classes: the plebeians and the patricians. The patricians were the wealthy, upper class people. Everyone else was considered a plebeian. Wow. But it says the patricians were the ruling class of the early Roman Empire. Only certain families were part of the patrician class, and you had to be born a patrician. The patricians were only a small percentage of the Roman population, but they held all the power. All the other citizens of Rome were plebeians. Plebeians were the farmers, craftsmen, laborers, and soldiers of Rome. In the early stages of Rome, the plebeians had few rights. All the government and religious positions were held by patricians. The patricians made the laws, owned the lands, and were the generals over the army. Plebeians couldn't hold public office and were not even allowed to marry patricians. Woo! Man. It says, starting around 494 BC, the plebeians began to fight against the rule of the patricians. The struggle is called the conflict of the orders. Over the course of around 200 years, the plebeians gained more rights. They protested by going on strike. They would leave the city for a while, refuse to work, or even refuse to fight in the army. Eventually, the plebeians gained a number of rights, including the right to run for office and marry patricians, you see? So eventually they got into power. The Law of the 12 Tables. It says one of the first concessions that the plebeians got from the patricians was the Law of the 12 Tables. 12 tables were laws that were posted in the public for all to see. They protected some basic rights of all Roman citizens, regardless of their social class. Eventually, the plebeians were allowed to elect their own government officials. They elected tribunes who represented the plebeians and fought for their rights. They had the power to veto new laws from the Roman Senate. As time went on, there became few legal differences between the plebeians and the patricians. The plebeians could be elected to the Senate and even be consuls. Plebeians and patricians could also get married. Wealthy plebeians became part of the Roman nobility. However, despite changes in the laws, the patricians always held a majority of the wealth and power in ancient Rome. You see, interesting facts about the plebeians and patricians. It says Julius Caesar was a patrician, but he was sometimes considered a champion of the common people. The plebeian council was led by the elected tribunes. Many new laws were passed by the plebeian council because the procedures were simpler than in the Senate. The plebeian council lost its power with the fall of the Roman Republic. So eventually they came into power. So that's that two horns like a lamb coming back today. The Democrats and the Republicans. All right. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, which is America, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right. So let's go back over here. Where I'm at. Oh. All right. And you can read, more on that and do more research. So going back, and they had slavery. Both ancient Rome and America were slave societies, with a large proportion of their populations in legal bondage. All right. And let's get that video I had showing you the symbolism in Rome and America. So lock in my part. I'm gonna mute myself so you can hear.
Throughout history,
Now, before I really play the video, it says ancient Egypt and America, the Egyptian symbols of the United States, the Great Seal, the Great American Seal. And all right, now it's dealing with, which really, America, we know that America is spiritually Egypt. Rome, Greek, Nineveh, all these wicked empires rolled into one, you know. But in this video, he's gonna show you the I believe it was the numbers on the back of the dollar bill, how they written in Roman letters, you know. So I ain't gonna play the whole. I'm gonna skip to that part actually, if I can, So stay tuned.
Of 1776, after the declaration of the Egyptian pyramid. These symbols are carefully selected to help bind a nation together by reminding its citizens of its history, ideologies, and evolving civilization. On the evening of 1776, after the Declaration of Independence was adopted, the new American Congress created a committee to design a seal for the United States of America. The purpose of the seal is to be recognized as the primary symbol of the new country. The committee was comprised of Ben Franklin, John Adams, and Thomas Jefferson. Ancient Egypt and the Exodus story were on the committee's mind as they suggested an image of Moses leading the Israelites through the Red Sea. However, in 1782, Congress adopted the final Great Seal of the United States, where a picture of an unfinished pyramid replaced the Exodus story. At the top front side of the seal, a collection of stars symbolizes a new nation taking its position among other sovereign nations. The native bald eagle represents the strength of the new country. The eagle's left talon has arrows, and his right talon has an olive branch representing the powers of peace and war.
Now, real quick, we know that that the eagle, goes back to most of these empires. I know that Rome definitely had the eagle. I believe Babylon they had an eagle. I could be wrong on that. I believe the Greeks had an eagle. So the eagle is represented. Is represented in most of these empires. America has the eagle and Rome had an eagle. So that was something I just want to speak on. But Salakia, going back.
On the breast of the native eagle, the designers placed a shield with the colors of the American flag with no supporters to encourage the citizens of the United States to rely on their own virtue. The Latin motto, E pluribus unum, or out of many, one, was meant to reflect the new union of the 13 original states.
See, the Latin words what do you say? E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Why is it written in Latin? Don't Americans speak English? All right, many of you may say it has nothing to do with Rome. Well, back in Rome, they spoke Latin. You see, so why they putting Why they putting Latin words on the back of a dollar bill? All right, Novus Ordo Seclorum. All right, what he just said, e pluribus, e plebeius unum. All right, why are they doing that? Because this is Rome as well, man. And if you look at the Senate House, the infrastructure of America, somewhat. The White House looks like Rome. It'll call it these stadiums, Bread and Circus, Rome. Right? Like, come on, man. Let's wake up. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I want him to get to. All right, I think it's right here.
Annuit coeptus indicates side, out of many, one, was meant to reflect the new union of the 13 original states. At the top of the verse side, the color blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The Latin motto, Annuit coeptus, indicates that God has favored our undertaking. The 13 layers of an unfinished pyramid are meant to symbolize strength, duration, and new ideas. The unfinished pyramid also indicates that American civilization and culture are always alive, growing, and evolving, and the work falls to each citizen. Beneath the pyramid is the date of the Declaration of Independence, MDCCLXXVI. Its Roman number is equal to 1776. The eye of the Creator is looking upon the new nation to protect it. Surrounding the eye is the light of God. Providence is shining on the new country based on the God-given unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. At the bottom of the seal is the Latin motto, Novus Ordo Secularorum, a new order of the ages, signaling the inauguration of the new American era. Seen together, the seal symbolizes a new nation of united.
See? So, let's get this real quick. All right, this is the revived Roman Empire, man. All right, Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All right, there's nothing new under the sun, man. We say, yes, people do come back, but also, these empires. This is the revived Roman Empire. This is spiritual Egypt, Babylon. All right, the Bible also calls America Assyria. All right, Nineveh. You gotta, So this is the a revived, empire of just wickedness, really. A revived empire of wickedness. You see, verse 10: Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It have been already of old time, which was before us. All right. So, I just want to bring, some edification out. America and Rome have a lot in common. All right. Because why? This is the revived Roman Empire all over again. So, and who's ruling it? Esau. Who's ruling the ancient Roman Empire? Esau. All right. Esau is still in power today. So, Lord willing, this was edifying to you, brothers and you sisters. You got some edification out of it. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak and double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that teach and rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Lord will use edified. Till the next video, I'm going to say Shalom.